I've alluded to it in videos. I've talked about it, I think, on Instagram, and I've probably even shown it in a story or two, but today we're finally going to talk about the Fuji DL300. But first, I'm not drinking coffee today. This is black tea with some oat milk. I ran out of coffee beans, so this is not for lack of wanting to drink coffee. I just don't have any good beans with me at the moment. Actually, I do have some beans, but they're from IKEA and they're terrible, I think. So if you want to see me do a taste test of those beans, which I'm going to be doing, I think, the week after next on Patreon, it's going to be a live stream. Make sure you go check my Patreon out. The link to it is in the description. A lot of goodies available there, a lot of content that you can't get anywhere else, and a really great, awesome community on the Discord that honestly I think makes the whole Patreon worth it just for that alone. So big shout out to my Patreon supporters for making that happen, and big shout out to this tea for being delicious. I'm filming in my office, and this isn't the most glamorous location. It doesn't have big, beautiful windows. There's one big window here, but it's not... It's facing another building, so it's not great for light. And it's also very gray here in Milwaukee. So I'm making this work. There's a speed graphic in the background. That's kind of nice, right? So, hey, there's a Carhartt jacket back there, so you know I shoot film. You can tell because of the Carhartt. But let's get to the camera. The Fuji DL300 came out in 1986, the year of my birth. In Japan, this camera is known as the Cardia Height, or the Cardia Height Date for the version with the date back. And in the rest of the world, it's known as the Contax T2. I'd actually never heard of this camera. As someone who's not a super big point and shoot person, other than, you know, with my Olympus XA, I don't really go out and seek out point and shoot cameras. I don't go to Goodwill or the thrift stores and try to find really nice point and shoot cameras for cheap prices, mostly because even though point and shoot cameras can be nice, it's not what I'm going to do the majority of my work on, and it's not going to be you know, a camera that is going to be picked over something like my Nikon F2 or my Mamiya RB67, but they are fun to have in certain situations like traveling, hanging out with your friends, everyday carry kind of stuff. Which my Olympus XA is perfect for. I've made a video about it. You can see it linked up here. I'd never heard of this camera before until my friend Khan was visiting Los Angeles back when I still lived there a few months ago, and he had one of these cameras with him, and it immediately intrigued me because it's got this very cool 80s design language that's just very 80s. It's got kind of like the Nikon-esque stripe, the red stripe here. The shutter button is a rectangle with red around it. And they used like the papyrus font for the name. If you look at it, it's like a very, it's a very funky, cool camera. It has an LCD screen on top like a lot of point and shoots do. It's also got a button back here for fill flash, which I think is kind of interesting and neat. So the reason that I found this camera interesting beyond its aesthetics is that it's got a clamshell design, much like the XA, but it has a 35mm f2.8 lens, which is really popular on the more higher end point and shoots. A lot of those cameras have the faster 35mm lenses. I think as far as point and shoots go, that's kind of like exactly where I like to be. 35mm is the perfect focal length for most things, especially shooting with a point and shoot. And having that wider aperture is good for low light or just getting a blurrier background if you're taking portraits close up. We all know Fuji's been making lenses forever, so I know that whatever lens is in here is going to be good. I did some research and I was really ready to find that they are expensive as heck, because with this feature set, why wouldn't they be? But I purchased this one for $50 shipped on eBay, and I routinely see them for $30 to $60 on eBay with shipping in the US and from Japan. People haven't really gotten wind of this camera yet, and I think that's very interesting. I was kind of hesitant to do this video because I know that once something gets put on YouTube, a lot of the hype beasts will buy them up and hype them up, and then the value will inflate artificially, and then before you know it, you can't buy one without paying the hype tax. This one has not been subject to it yet, and so that's why I was kind of hesitant, but I don't think my channel is that kind of channel. I don't think people come here, find things that I like to use, and then hype them up. The Nikon F2 I feel like has kind of gotten a little more popular recently, but I attribute that way more to the reputation of the camera itself than to me talking about it on my channel. Even though I have had people tell me they bought one because of my recommendation, which is cool. That being said, I do think that this is a camera that people would really like if they took a look at it. It is an all plastic body, which doesn't inspire confidence, but you know, the Yashica T4 is an all plastic body, and I at least know one person who's dropped and broken one, but it still works. So if you don't care about having a plastic body, this might be worth looking into. The really cool thing about this camera, the thing that actually really drew me to it, was the fact that you can turn the flash off. A lot of point and shoot cameras, there's no option to turn the flash off. If the camera senses that there's not enough light, it's going to trigger the flash, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Which for most situations is fine, but there are some times where a camera might think that it needs to trigger the flash when in reality it really doesn't. And it's just really nice knowing that I can just push a button and turn flash off and then make that decision myself. Another cool thing is that this big LCD screen here has most of the real estate taken up with the number of frames you have left. And it says right above it, exposures left. And that's kind of nice because it counts down. This camera actually winds your entire roll out and then it'll shoot it backwards back into the canister, which I like. I think that's a cool way to do it. And I also like knowing how many shots I have left versus how many shots I've taken, because you often don't know if you're going to get 36 or 37 or 38 shots. And this will tell you exactly right there, which I think is very nice. The quality of the photos are great. I really love the way that the lens renders color and contrast. It's just a very good looking lens. It's fast at the 2.8 aperture. It's wide enough at the 35mm focal length. It kind of ticks all those boxes. I have no complaints. I think that the lens is very sharp for a point and shoot. I totally give that credit to Fuji. They make lenses that are fantastic and they know how to make lenses. So no surprises there. The one thing that kind of bothers me about this camera, kind of the main and only thing, is that this sliding door on mine, oh, now you want to stay? It doesn't, it just kind of flops around because the ball bearing that's behind it fell into the body. At first, it was just kind of stuck and it was like difficult to open. So I pulled this door off and I went in with some alcohol to try to clean that ball bearing because it seemed like there's some corrosion on it. But in doing so, I knocked it into the body and now it's rattling around in there. It doesn't affect functionality. The door does turn the camera on when you open it and turn it off when you close it. But as long as the door's on there and you can open and close it manually, it's not an issue. It's just kind of annoying that now it doesn't have that little bit of resistance of keeping it in place with that ball bearing. And I hate the sound of things rattling around in anything. So that's kind of annoying. Also, something to get used to is it has this feature where you just drop the roll in with just the leader out the normal amount. And then when you close the back, it'll wind the full roll out automatically. That's kind of it's kind of weird getting used to it. It's neat having that drop in design. Of course, you can just push that little arm right there very gently out of the way and you can open it all the way if you want. That's very much a feature that Fuji intended, and so I use it in the way that it was designed. So a little bit weird to get used to, but it does work perfectly well if you use it that way. All in all, this camera is a crazy deal. If you can find one on eBay for less than $100, you're in business. They are currently on eBay for very cheap right now. There's other versions like the DL200 and the DL400, neither of which I have any experience with. Apparently the DL200 is very similar to this, just some styling changes, I guess. But other than that, yeah, this is an awesome camera. If you're on a super tight budget and you really want to point and shoot, but you want a point and shoot that's going to advance and wind your film automatically with a flash, and you don't want to spend a couple $100 or can't spend a couple $100 on something like the XA or XA2, this is definitely a really awesome option. It's not going to get you the same street cred or clout points as a Contax T2, but I think that this camera can give the T2 a run for its money as far as quality goes. Budget T2 killer? Also, if this one bricks and you can't repair it, you're not going to cry because you only spent 50 bucks on it and not, what, like $1,300? How much are they going for now? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic new year. Stay away from people, wear an N95 mask, get vaccinated, get boosted. Don't go to bars and shit right now. That's like the worst thing you can do. Takeout only. Just try not to be around people. Like, it really is burning through the population right now, and we really don't want to reach that 1 million goal of dead people in the US that we're inching very close to. So like I said earlier on, if you want to support this channel, you can become a patron. My Patreon page has all sorts of Patreon only exclusives, videos, live streams. I'm in the Discord all the time, so you can come chat with me, chat with the rest of the community on the Discord. It's actually been my favorite part of the Patreon so far, getting to just hang out with people who like my channel and want to talk about cameras and film and stuff, and a lot of really smart, really talented people there. So definitely worth just for that. So yeah, thank you for being here, and see you later.